The Brothers Grimm, Rapunzel by Debbie Lavreys. Once upon a time, there were a man and a woman who longed for a child. They were thrilled and excited when they discovered they were going to have a baby at last. The husband promised he would take good care of his wife and do anything she asked for. She only needed to rest. When she sat on her bed, the woman looked over a beautiful garden that was filled with the most beautiful Rapunzel plants she had ever seen. Every day the woman looked at the garden, and every day she was overcome with a craving to eat some Rapunzel. But she did not dare to ask her husband to get her some. Around the garden was a very high and forbidding wall, and inside lived an evil witch who was feared by everybody. Because she was not able to taste the delicacy she longed for, the woman became sadder every day. She was so unhappy, her husband eventually decided to go and gather a few plants for his wife. At dusk, the man climbed over the wall with a long rope. Carefully, he walked to the Rapunzel patch and quickly pulled out a fistful of plants to take home. His wife ate one bite of Rapunzel after another until nothing was left. She loved it so much, she wanted to eat more Rapunzel the next day. When he saw how happy it made his wife, the man decided he would go and fetch some more Rapunzel, whatever the cost. But the next night, when he was pulling up Rapunzel, he was frightened. Suddenly, the witch stood behind him and shouted angrily, "How dare you climb over my wall like a thief and steal my Rapunzel?" The man replied that he only wanted to take care of his wife, who was pregnant. When she heard this, the witch said he could take as much Rapunzel as he wanted in exchange for his child. Because he was terrified of the witch, the man agreed. The child had barely been born when the witch came to fetch her, leaving the man and woman alone with their grief. The child was called Rapunzel and grew up to become a beautiful girl. She had a friendly face and long, delicate hair like gold thread. When Rapunzel was 12, the witch locked her up in a tower in the forest, without a door or a flight of stairs. There was only one small window at the top of the tower. When the witch wanted to go up in the tower, she stood at the bottom and shouted, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." The girl then let down her long, flaxen hair, and the witch climbed up. One day, a handsome prince was riding through the forest. When he passed by the tower, he heard the wonderful voice of Rapunzel singing. He immediately stopped to listen. The prince wanted to enter the tower, but there was no entrance to be found. After a long search, he rode off. But from that moment on, he returned every day to hear Rapunzel sing. One day, he saw the witch and heard her shout, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." Finally, he had discovered a way to get into the tower. The next night, the prince went to the tower and shouted, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." Immediately, the girl let down her braid and the prince climbed up. Rapunzel was frightened when she first saw the prince, but soon she grew fond of him. She was so happy not to be alone anymore. Every night she looked forward to his arrival. She thought he was not only very handsome and brave, but also very sweet. That's why she gladly agreed when he proposed marriage to her. They agreed he would bring her some silk threads every night, which Rapunzel would gradually weave into a ladder to escape. The witch was not aware of Rapunzel's nightly companion. One day the girl made the mistake of asking, "Why is it so difficult to pull you up and so easy to lift the prince?" "What? The witch called out. "Does a prince come to visit you in the tower?" She was raging with anger. She grabbed Rapunzel's beautiful hair in one hand and a pair of scissors in the other. In an instant, the beautiful braid lay on the floor, and the witch sent the poor girl into the wilds of the forest, where no one would find her. That same day, the witch attached the braid to the inside wall of the tower and waited for the prince to come. When he called, she threw down Rapunzel's hair. The prince climbed up and was frightened when he saw the witch. When she told him that she had sent Rapunzel somewhere he would never find her, the prince was so sad that he threw himself out the window. He survived the fall, but he was blinded by the thorns below. For a long time, the prince wandered the countryside alone. One day, while walking through the wilderness, he heard sweet singing and recognized the voice of Rapunzel. As fast as he could, he ran towards the sound of her voice. Rapunzel immediately recognized the prince. They fell into one another's arms, crying tears of joy. Rapunzel's tears fell on the prince's eyes, and miraculously, the tears healed his eyes, and he could see again. They found their way home and were warmly welcomed by their families. Together, they lived happily ever after.